Rice. The grain is one of the few foods that does not spoil unless you cook it. So if you've got little boxes with metal handles in your refrigerator, I've got recipes for them. I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein. Join me as I give you recipes for leftover rice here on SoFlo Taste. How fun is that? Happy New Year! Happy 2024! I'm Chef Michelle Bernstein and welcome to the Goya Kitchenette Junior Achievement of South Florida here in Coconut Creek. I don't know about you, but I often have leftover rice, whether it's in my rice cooker or leftover from takeout. Yes, even chefs bring in takeout. Well, I'm sure you've got a few recipes that have rice in them, but today I thought it would be fun and frugal to give you some recipes that use leftover rice and use it well. So let's get cooking. I actually have with me today 3 different leftover rices. The first one is jasmine. The second one will be basmati. And lastly, I always make a ton of sushi rice because my son loves bowls. And so we have lots of sushi rice at home and a lot of leftover. Let's start with one of my favorite recipes, arroz con leche, or rice pudding. We Latins love our arroz con leche. I don't know if we all make different kinds of arroz con leche and different ways of making arroz con leche, but none are wrong, and they're all delicious equally. So let's start out. For me, I like to start reducing the rice, and I actually love to cook rice ahead of making arroz con leche, or rice pudding. So this actually is perfect for my recipe. So this is about 3 cooks of milk that I'm going to start out with. At the same time, I'm going to heat up some pasas de uva. I don't know why I'm speaking in Spanish right now for the new year, but here we go. I've got golden raisins to soak, and I'm actually going to soak these in a little bit of Jerez or Spanish cooking sherry. So I'm going to heat that up to evaporate all of the alcohol in the sherry, and then use those plump, delicious raisins in the rice pudding. All right, I'm gonna already start the flavor of the rice pudding, so I'm gonna go ahead and add sugar to it. I think we're gonna start out with 2 cinnamon sticks, a little vanilla paste, which if you don't have any vanilla paste at home, I happen to have, by mistake, done a running order of vanilla paste, so it actually shows up at my doorstep once a month. But to be honest with you, I use so much of vanilla in my cooking that I guess it was a good thing in hindsight. I did it by mistake for sure, but it's great. But if you don't have any vanilla paste, go ahead and use vanilla extract, perfectly fine. Make sure you always add a pinch of salt to this. It just brings out all the flavors in everything. Of course, it's not going to be a salty rice pudding. And here we go. This is my, oh look, we have a little fire to burn out the alcohol. That's a good thing. That's what you want, because we want to burn all that out, because we don't want anybody having the alcohol when they eat the rice pudding. Well, I guess they could, but I like making rice pudding for the whole family, not just the adult version of it. So I always cook jasmine rice. I actually don't use a rice cooker for it. I cook it always in a pot. I measure it with my eye. I never measure it with a measuring cup, but I think that's always the Latin way. A pinch of salt and a little tiny tablespoon of butter always, so that it doesn't stick. But obviously, you're using your leftover rice, so it doesn't really matter how it's cooked as long as it's cooked well. It's all kind of separated. You don't want clumps. You can always oil your fingers and just kind of separate the clumps of rice whenever you're using rice for other methods, just so you know. Jasmine to me is kind of the safest because it has the least flavor, but short grain rice happens to be absolutely delicious in rice pudding. A lot of Spanish rice pudding would be used with like a bomba or paella type of a short grain rice. So if you have that, by all means use that in your rice pudding, as long as you didn't have any flavor on it, right? It just has to be cooked in a little bit of water, not chicken stock. Okay, so the raisins have almost evaporated. All the delicious sherry, that's almost completely dried up. All the alcohol is gone. Now I'm going to start adding the rice to the milk. So it's usually about double the amount of milk to me than rice. I don't like it to be all rice and just kind of stand up in a plate. I want it to be kind of runny and to me really creamy. So I try not to go with too much rice in my pudding to begin with. I think we're just where we need to be right now. All right, I'm gonna let that heat through. We're just gonna keep stirring it as we go. It shouldn't take long, especially because the rice is cooked, so we want all this to become very starchy and very creamy. Our raisins are done, we're just gonna wait for that on the side. So come right back, because I have two absolutely delicious, savory, and surprising recipes coming up.
Come back to SoFlo Taste from the Goya Kitchen at Junior Achievement of South Florida. Chef Michelle is just getting started here on Local 10.
Welcome back to our SoFlo Taste leftover rice show. So it looks like my rice pudding is pretty much nice and thick. I'm gonna go ahead and pour it into a big casserole dish because it really needs to cool to totally thicken up. And then I did put the raisins that I cooked in sherry in there as well. So I'm gonna hand these off. All right, that is gonna go into the refrigerator thanks to Amanda. So before I get into my next dish, which is a Japanese fried rice dish called yakimeshi, I thought it would be kind of interesting to let you know that the world eats over 60 million metric tons of rice annually. That's a lot of little boxes. And I'm here today to help you use up some of those 50 million metric tons before they go bad. All right, so let's jump right in to yakimeshi. You know, Chinese fried rice and Japanese fried rice, they're not that incredibly different. The biggest difference really is the rice. So here is short grain rice, or better known as sushi rice. And this is what you would find, obviously, when you eat sushi, when you get bowls from Japanese restaurants, which my son loves, with a little bit of salmon sashimi on top. This is great rice for a lot of different recipes, but let's go ahead and turn this into a delicious stir fry. So I think the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm probably just gonna do the eggs first and then we'll add them in later. So let's heat up some oil. And here I have some scrambled egg, a little bit of salt. Let's throw a little pepper in there too. And let's pour this into the oil. And it cooks really fast. Okay, that is cooked, believe it or not. Check it out. Let's put that aside. Okay, put the wok back in the heat. Go ahead and add oil again. And now we're gonna add our leftover from yesterday, short grain or sushi rice. You know, when I eat fried rice, I always think, I wish they put less rice and more vegetable. But my son always says, I want more rice, less vegetable. So I'm trying to make something in the middle that would make both of us happy. So I think I'm gonna stop there. Okay. Obviously, the heat is pretty darn high. I'm using a very neutral oil here so that we don't really have any strong flavor going on. Let's go ahead and start adding some ingredients. We've got some minced garlic, the whites of scallions, so normally in Japanese fried rice, you would use a Japanese sausage. But I found outside of my favorite Asian market, they were serving barbecued Chinese pork. char siu. And so I grabbed it because it's so delicious, and I figured it would be really yummy in this rice dish. You can also add seafood if you want to this. Shrimp would be delicious. Since we're here in South Florida, I think some crab would be really yummy in here too. It's up to you. Okay, we've got edamame or soybeans, or if you'd rather use peas and you have some in your freezer like I always do, you can use that. And I've got some white pepper, a little hit of salt. We are going to add a little soy as well. Okay, let's go ahead and move this over to one side for a second. Add the sesame oil. I'm going to now finally add the greens of the scallions, which take a lot less time to cook than the whites. Bring the rice back to that side. Push it to that side now, the other side, where the oil was. Add a little bit of soy to that, not too much. Bring the rice on that. And finish with the egg. I just turned the heat off. Let's go ahead and place in our serving container, serving plate. Yum. And finally, this might not be very traditional, but in our house, when we serve a bowl of steamed rice, we always top it with furikake. Furikake is this gorgeous Japanese rice seasoning it comes in all different flavors. We are big fans at our house, and it has nori, and really depends on which one you select. This has a little egg in it, and just sprinkle it right over the top. And there you have it, a beautiful Japanese stir-fry rice, and with leftovers. I got so much more, so come right back.
I'm design expert Elena Capra, and after Michelle, join me for SoFlo Home Project here on Local 10.
Stay tuned to SoFlo Taste. We'll be right back. Welcome back to SoFlo Taste. We're here at JA World in Coconut Creek, a wonderful place for our children. But it's also going to be a wonderful place for the rest of us, the night of January 27th. That's the night of the JA Circle of Wise Women's JA Uncorked, where you can stroll through JA sampling all kinds of tastings from restaurants and beverage partners. There will be live music, dancing, raffles, a silent auction, and more. For tickets, sponsorship opportunities, and more information, visit jaflorida.org/JA World Uncorked or call 954-979-7120. Now back to celebrating rice, the leftover kind. All right, everyone, our next recipe is with basmati rice. I thought it would be kind of interesting to combine that kind of popcorny flavor of basmati with some beautiful Middle Eastern Mediterranean flavors that we've got going on. So I've got some scallions that I'm going to go ahead and slice up to put into the rice. And the rice right now is at room temperature. That's where I would prefer this salad to be. If you'd rather it be cold, it can be, but I always feel that rice just feels better on the palate when it's room temp. Let's put the scallions in there. Let's also add, I sliced up some tomatoes. Let's put those in there as well. These are some grape tomatoes that I kind of just sliced up a little bit. We've got a cucumber here, and I think I'm going to go ahead and leave the peel on the cucumber. So let's cut the top right off. I think that's about how much we'll use today. So let's slice this in nice long pieces, like so. Now, if you are one that, a lot of people can't really digest the peel of a cucumber, then you can go ahead and peel it. But I think it's fun and crunchy, and I have no problem eating it. All right, so let's cut this into nice long pieces, like so. And this is where we put everything together and cut it into nice small diced pieces. That's how we do it. These will come out to be about a little bigger than 1/4 of an inch thick. Let's go ahead and add these to the salad as well. I like a lot of cucumber in this one, so I'm going to do a little bit more, especially since I have fresh dill and mint and za'atar and sumac in this recipe, and that goes so well with some cucumbers. So let's add that to that mix. By the way, we all tasted the Japanese rice, and it is so delicious. I highly recommend you make that at home. I'm going to take that home for my son because I think he's going to go crazy over it. All right, so I have some Italian parsley leaves as well as some mint leaves. I'm just going to gather it up, and this is how I always keep them at home, in some moist paper towels to keep them a little bit more fresh. And go ahead, and I know it's a lot, but the more you use, the better the salad is going to be. Okay, so now let me put the salad in front of me, and I'm going to dress it delicately. So I have some really good quality extra virgin, and because there's such few ingredients in this, I highly recommend you use a good oil, a good extra virgin oil. It doesn't have to be expensive, but it has to be to your liking. I like something a little more smooth to the palate personally, but it's really up to you. So I've got the oil in here. Next, I'm going to add just a little bit of champagne vinegar. Again, another really delicate flavored vinegar. Some salt, some black pepper. And finally, I'm going to add a little bit of za'atar, one of my favorite spices, with dried thyme and sesame, as well as sumac, which comes from the sumac berry. It's beautifully kind of tangy. It's really delicious. Go ahead and mix that up. And this goes delicious on its own. You can also top it with a beautiful piece of grilled fish or chicken or lamb. Okay, now we're not done yet, but let's go ahead and put it in a pretty dish because the rest of it is going on the top, and that's my favorite part of this. For the top, I've decided to chop a little bit of fresh dill, which we use a lot of at home, right over the top. We have fresh pomegranate, which, by the way, it's so easy to get fresh pomegranate here in Miami or South Florida, and to get the seeds out is really simple. So always try to use fresh if you can, instead of the shucked pomegranate seeds. So that'll go right over the top, which will give tanginess as well as a good crispiness. Then finally, I'm going to finish it with a quick drizzle of pomegranate molasses, which can be found in any Middle Eastern store. And it's so delicious, but a little goes a long way, so go delicately. And just finish it with a touch more oil, just drizzled right over the top. And this looks like I spent hours on this. Look how simple and delicious and beautiful this is. Ah, come right back. Very proud of myself right now. SoFlo Taste will return right after this. For more information on today's show or to see a recent SoFlo Taste episode, please go to our website, sofloshows.com. There you can find everything SoFlo Taste. Check out how beautifully creamy the rice is. This is my rice pudding, and I just think it's gorgeous. It tastes great, too. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope I've given you some new ideas of what to do with leftover rice. Rice is one of the few foods that does not spoil. That is until, of course, you cook it. So I was happy to give you recipes to use it up.
Hi, Michelle. Good morning. So today we are touring a beautiful condo with a chic South Beach styling. Coming up on SoFlo Home Project, we hope to inspire you with all the great design details of this so-be sophisticated condo.
So Taste Buds, I'll see y'all next week. Goodbye, mwah, and good taste. Have a rice day.